Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Dora Jesu, and as you know, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for the likes, the comments. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate the show of love. God bless you. Okay, so today I'm just going to be talking about different healthcare jobs in Canada and which one I mean, which one do you think works for you? Is that the right English to say? Okay, I'm just gonna explore. If you've been in Canada for some time, you must have been hearing PSW, DSW, HSW. It's one of the very common jobs that you see on Indeed, and you might be wondering, okay, what does it take to actually land these jobs and all that? So I'm just gonna be explaining what each one means and how you can actually get any of this job according to your preference. So let's get into it. So like the how do I put it? The very common one is PSW. So you hear PSW, and you see they've bastardized this name so much that a lot of people talk about it. Even online, you hear all these people talking about digital businesses watering down what PSW is. Generally, what watering down the SK sector. Oh God, it's so annoying. Really annoying. The fact that you want to tell people about what you do doesn't mean you water down other things for me. Because aside the fact that healthcare might not be what everybody has to do, or what healthcare might not be everyone's niche, right? Well, this is something we need to understand about Canada. When you're coming in, you need to be very flexible. You need to be very fluid. You need to be optimistic. If you're coming in as an international student and you're above 30 and you don't have any other pathway to landing your permanent residence, there are several, right? But you don't specifically fit into one. The healthcare is a big catch. It's one of the, I would say, is like the topmost sector that you can land your permanent residency within 2 years. If you get a job in Canada, within 2 years, if you get a job, regardless of your background, regardless of what you were doing prior at home, regardless of what you even studied in Canada. So, having said that, PSW, DSW, HSW, what is it about? Um, People talk about it a lot. Oh, I'm a PSW, I'm a DSW, an HSW. What is it about? So this video is just gonna be all about that, right? So I'll start with PSW. PSW is very common. You see it on Indeed, and the full meaning for PSW is personal support worker. While some other people could call it healthcare aid, HCA, depending on maybe the company or whatever categorization they want to put it. I also believe that in companies also, within different organizations, they have different names they call it, but like this is like one of the general names, and like this is like the most famous most famous names given to people that do resident care, right? So PSW. So majorly, what does a PSW do? Should I start from PSW? Of course. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with PSW because, of course, that's what I do. So, yeah, I'm a personal support worker in Canada currently. Some people call it personal support worker. Some people call it air care head. In other organizations, they call it different things, but I'm gonna start with PSW, right? So, a PSW is an individual that support other individuals who may be elderly, disabled, or they're recovering from an illness, or just people that need um health care at a particular period. So it could be vulnerable people, people that have hold. I mentioned that already. And basically, what do they do? They assist with activities of daily living for like bathing, sorting food, toileting, clothing, like everything that you do, like an individual. Everything you do on a day to day to ensure that you have a good day is what you actually provide for your resident, in this case. And of course, you also give mobility support, you give emotional and social, physical support, you know. I love that part of it. Um, you also monitor and record health, vitals. And of course, PSWs do not administer drugs, except maybe in very rare cases, but it is they are not obligated to administer drugs. And a PSW superior is always the nurse. You have to always report to the nurse, like that is the person you have to report to. Now, depending on different organizations, maybe they have floor members that based on seniority where you have to report to. But I mean, you cannot do anything. Like every observation you have, documentations you have, everything has to get to the nurse. You cannot make any decision. You cannot alter anything. Your role is to ensure that residents are well taken care of. Their activities of daily living is sorted. You ensure they eat their food. Persuade them. Encourage them to, do some mobility. Just things that covers, them having a good life and having a good day put together, right? And maybe light housekeeping, like laying their bed, nothing serious. A PSW does not do wash the toilet. They do not have to clean the room or do the home mopping. No, housekeeping does that, right? So and where can a PSW work? A PSW can work in hospitals, can work in healthcare facilities, can work in special home cares, they can work in retirement home. So usually a PSW can also work in community, like they can do home to home care. So a PSW is actually multifaceted. So I love that part of it. So, but you're required to have a certification. And for Canada, I think it has to be Canada recognized. For Ontario, it has to be from an Ontario recognized college. And yep. So I think prior to 2023, they hire PSWs that have health background from foreign countries, or international students that have else backgrounds from foreign country, and then they give the on job experience. But of course, they encourage such employee to enroll and get Ontario certified, because anything can happen at your job, and you might even want to get another job that require you to have something like that. And the training is actually very very detailed as well, so you're actually going to learn. I mean, you do yourself a lot of advantage by actually enrolling for the training. So you have to be formally trained, and you have to go through the placement procedure. If you're working already, you might not have so much also with the placement, but I mean, getting the PSW certificate or diploma from your province or from your local environment recognized goes a long way to you getting a job as a PSW. So like I said, you can work in long-term cares, resident home, retirement homes, other healthcare facilities, even hospitals. Like PSWs are needed in hospitals. So the PSW covers a wide range of you know things to do, like places to work. So you're not limited. I mean, it's more generalized, I'd say. So yeah, there's so many opportunities there as a PSW. So moving on to HSWs. So the HSW actually does literally everything a PSW does. But the difference is HSWs do not work in long term cares, and they are not allowed to, I don't think they're allowed to work in hospitals. And they might be doing some housekeeping job alongside what they have to do. Like they have to do the laundry, they have to do the cleaning of the residence room, like thorough cleaning. It's part of their activities. So they also help the residents with activities of daily living. Maybe grocery shopping, meal preparations. Um, I mean, they do more like everything the PSW does. Just that theirs might be more, how would I put it? I mean, they have to do a couple of other things PSWs don't have to do, like housekeeping, like I said, laundry. They equally provide emotional support. I like that part. Emotional support for their client. I think HSWs call the individuals they attend to client, and in long term cares, we refer to them as residents. Yes. So they ensure that the environment of the client is safe, and they require less training, like unlike PSWs. You don't have to be formally trained as an HSW. On job training just suffices, right? It's for a lot of places. And for HSW, because they have to move from home to home in most cases, I think it's compulsory that a lot of companies that hire HSW require to have a car, and of course, the pay is lesser than PSWs. But the difference is not so much actually. People say is more, how would I put it? I've not worked as an HSW. I'm looking forward to community care. But for now, I'm still, enjoy what I do. I mean, community care in that maybe as a second, another, side thing, but for now, I'm not exploring it, but I heard it can actually be really easy too, because sometimes all your resident wants you to come. I mean, all your client wants you to come and do is have a chit chat. I'm like, don't worry, don't do that. Just sit with me. Let's have a chat, and you get paid. Unlike if you work in a facility, you are working and everybody's seeing you. So like everybody's keeping a tab on you. So I mean, everything has their pros and cons, anyways. But yeah, so that's usually HSWs only work in clients' home. They don't work in long term care, they don't work in hospitals or any healthcare facilities. So yeah, that's it. I already mentioned that the training they need is just on job training. So usually when they get onboarded, they just have a buddy that or a body, whatever, that takes them and shows them what to do, and that's it. So then we have the DSW. So the DSWs are developmental service workers. They are also health workers in Canada, and they are not as rampant as PSWs and HSWs, of course, because their course is actually longer. So yeah, DSWs, they work with individuals that have developmental disabilities, people with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, intellectual disabilities. I mean, just people that have disabilities generally. And yeah, all they do helping with activities of daily living, just like a PSW does. And, they also try to give them emotional support and foster social inclusion, engage them in activities, teaching them life skills. Like they integrate more of life enrichment into what they do as well as the DSW. So they create support plans for the individuals they're working with, and they help in accessing resources. They advocate for the client's rights and inclusion in the community, and it is required that you have a certificate. I mean, it is required. And I think while a PSW course or a diploma is 1 year, a DSW is 2 years, so it's longer. Their coursework are basically on developmental disabilities and behavioral supports, and they also have to go for placement. So for DSWs and PSWs, it is a must that they have a college degree or diploma. I mean, it's just you can't carry it over. You can't carry it over. You just have to have an Ontario certified, or whichever your province is, it has to be certified. It's a certificate that is maybe Canada recognized, or your school board. I mean, there are several bodies that do these courses, right? So yeah. And where do they work? Where can a DSW work? They can work in schools. Yeah, because they can be like support staffs for students to schools. They can work in day programs or clients. They can equally work in clients' home. They work hand in hand with educators, families. They are richer. I mean, their work is more integrated because um aside of course, for PSWs, we work mostly with elderly, and The target is to ensure they have the best of the end of their life, right? But the DSW, mostly you're working with people that are still in their prime, like very young children, and you still want them to, have the best of their life as much as possible. So there are a lot of other things that has to be integrated into what they do. So little one that a cost takes longer, and of course they earn better too. So if you're contemplating on which one to actually go for, it depends entirely on your preference. But in my opinion, the HSW and PSW are easily, I mean, they are very, very common jobs around. They are very, how would I put it? Is it common? Is common the right word to say? Like if you search on Indeed now, just search PSW or HSW, you see loads and loads of opportunities. And if you search for long term cares around me, they would always need PSWs. Yes, they will always need PSWs. And if you also look out for agencies, they always need HSWs, right? Even retirement homes, they need HSWs. Individuals need HSW. Like, so this the HSW and PSW are one of the very, very common job in the healthcare sector in Canada, and it's something that um you don't have to think twice about. Like I said, if you've seen my previous video, I've been saying but I'm sorry. So we've seen my previous video when I talked about how to get a job in Canada. You have to be flexible. You have to be fluid. Coming to Canada, you shouldn't have a closed mindset on, oh, this is what I've been doing and this is what I'm gonna stick to. No, you should think of except of course if you have your pathway to permanent residency and it's certain, and you brought millions of dollars that even if you don't work for the next 3 years, you're good. The healthcare is something you should jump at. It does not diminish what you have prior, and it doesn't take anything from you. It's one of the jobs that you start earning good money. It's not all there. I mean, it's not all that perfect, right? But health job do not pay health job do not pay minimum wage. I mean, the least you get is like $19 and above, and you get good pay as you go. So please, if you're still contemplating on what to do, I would advise that you explore any of these healthcare jobs, tailor your resume to fit into the job roles and go all out and apply. My video on how to land healthcare job is they just go all out and apply, push yourself, not just applying online, walking goes, it does the magic. I mean, it does the magic a lot of times. So please, 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 and please, love healthcare. Healthcare is Canada's oil business, let me say, because I mean, there's no law that comes out that affects healthcare. So, well, the main aim of this video is just to explain to you what these terms are in case you're confused on what is what. So, a PSW, a HSW, a DSW, there are a lot of things that link them together. But of course, in summary, a PSW is a personal support worker and deals majorly with people, vulnerable people, individuals that are recovering from an illness, or elderly people or people with disability, and they can work in hospitals. They have to get a degree. HSWs do not have to get a degree. On job experiences, I mean, on job training just works, but they kind of work in healthcare facilities and they can't work in hospitals. They have to do home to home. So it's community care. And the DSW is basically someone that deals with individuals with disability. They need a degree. I mean, it's very important. And yeah, the pay is good too. And of course, it's more intense, but the pay is better. And you have to be passionate about, working as a DSW if you eventually want to do anything in that regard. So that'll be all for today. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. I'll be willing to help you. And thank you so much. If you come this far, please subscribe. Press the subscription button hit the notification bell so you can see my videos when I post them. Comment, please, and like so other people can see this video. Thank you so much and do have a good time. Bye.